Ever feel like you're just kind of skimming the surface? You know, like you're wading in the shallows but never really diving deep?
I know that feeling.
Well, today we are going deep, deep, deep into the world of Apache hunting.
I know.
And no, this isn't just going to be about, bows and arrows and stuff. We're talking about a whole different way of seeing and interacting with nature.
Right.
A whole different perspective, all thanks to this book, Hunting the Apache Way.
Yeah. I love this book.
Get ready, because I think there are going to be some serious aha moments as we unearth these incredible tracking techniques that almost make modern technology look, well, primitive.
Yeah, right.
We're going to learn how this deep, and I mean deep, understanding of animal behavior was woven into the very fabric of Apache life.
It's incredible.
And to help us truly wrap our heads around all of this incredible knowledge, we've got an expert with us, someone who can really connect those ancient dots to, our modern lives.
Well, it's amazing how Apache hunting is about so much more than just, bringing home dinner.
It was a way of life, right?
It really was. It was a spiritual practice, a way of life that, well, it emphasized respect, for sure, and this real intricate balance and a really deep understanding of, like, the interconnectedness of everything.
I love this phrase. The book talks about, hunting is a conversation with the land.
Oh, yeah.
Can you unpack that a little bit? What does that mean, really, in the context of Apache tradition?
Okay, so think about it this way. Every hunt, it was this dialogue. It was a real give and take. It was a conversation with nature, literally. Like, taking an animal's life wasn't, it wasn't taken lightly.
Of course.
It was done with reverence, and with a deep understanding that you were taking only what you really needed to take, and that every single part of that animal had a purpose.
So it wasn't just about, sustainability, which is something that we talk a lot about today, but also about really honoring the animal, recognizing that sacrifice.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely. And that respect, it extended to literally every aspect of the hunt. Yeah. Every aspect, including, even the tools that they used.
Which brings us to those incredible tools.
Yeah.
The bows and arrows, the spears. It's clear from the book, these weren't just tools, right? They were works of art in their own right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they didn't have, what we have today, carbon fiber and all that.
Right.
They had to use what their environment provided.
Right.
Wood, sinew, bone. And they crafted them with this incredible amount of skill and, this knowledge that had been passed down for generations.
Yeah.
I mean, each tool, it was so specifically designed for the animal they were hunting. It shows their deep, deep understanding of the natural world.
And it's amazing to think that, even today, even in modern times, Apache hunters blend these traditional tools and skills with, newer technology.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it speaks to their adaptability, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. 100%. The core values of respect and understanding, those remain. But they're not afraid to, incorporate things like compound bows or modern rifles to, just be more efficient, more effective.
Totally. And that brings us to, I think, what's truly fascinating. Their deep, deep, almost mystical understanding of animal behavior.
Oh, yeah.
The book makes it seem like they could, think like the animals.
It's true.
Like they were reading their minds.
It really is about this really keen observation, understanding, the subtle cues, those little things that animals give off. The book, it gives an example of territorial behavior, right?
Yeah.
And how Apache hunters could use that knowledge of an animal's territory to, almost predict their movement, particularly during, mating season.
Right, so they'd know where an animal was most likely to be just based on its territory.
Exactly.
That makes sense, but honestly, I'd never really thought about it.
It's so simple, but
brilliant.
so brilliant.
Yeah.
And then you've got, flight responses, which is fascinating.
Oh, totally.
It's not just about scent, although obviously that plays a huge role. Apache hunters, they mastered this art of understanding an animal's, personal space.
Like their bubble.
Yes.
Yeah.
Knowing when an animal was aware of their presence before they bolted,
Before they even knew.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's incredible.
The book actually described it as, recognizing those almost invisible signs, like, I don't know, a quick flick of an ear.
Yes.
A subtle shift in posture, stuff that, most of us, we wouldn't even notice.
Right.
Talk about being in tune with nature.
Truly.
And speaking of being in tune, what about herd mentality? How did they use that to their advantage?
Well, they were masters at observing, just the subtle dynamics within the herd and particularly, the role of the alpha animal.
Oh, right, because the alpha basically dictates everything, right?
100%. Direction, the pace, when to flee. If you understand the alpha, you could predict the actions of the entire herd.
It makes me think of, like financial analysts who watch, what the big investors are doing to kind of predict the market trends.
It's the same.
Wow. But, speaking of different approaches, let's talk about how the Apache adapted their strategies based on their environment. Mountains, deserts, forests. It's clear from the book that location played a huge role.
Oh, 100%. Take the mountains, for instance, right?
Yeah, okay.
You're dealing with difficult terrain, unpredictable weather,
Hmm.
even just the thinner air at higher altitudes that can affect how you stalk your prey.
I hadn't even considered that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. It's amazing how they factored in like every single aspect of the environment. What about the desert? That's got to be a completely different ballgame.
Oh, it is. I mean, in the desert,
Yeah.
you're contending with this extreme heat, obviously, lack of cover, and of course, scarcity of water.
So water sources become like the main thing, right? For both the hunters and the hunted.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial. The book even says, knowing where those water holes were, observing how the animals use them, it was like key to a successful hunt in the desert.
Makes sense. And then you've got like forests, which seems like almost the opposite problem. Too much cover. So what's the strategy in that kind of environment?
It's fascinating. The book calls it still hunting. Basically, imagine moving through the forest, quiet, like a whisper, blending in, becoming part of the shadows.
So noise, any noise, that's your biggest enemy.
100%. One snap twig, a rustle of leaves, that's it, You've alerted every animal within earshot.
Mm-hmm.
The Apache, they had to master stealth.
Impatience.
It really makes you realize how much of this type of hunting was mental. Not just like physical skill, but mental discipline. Totally. You need incredible patience, awareness, the ability to observe and actually interpret the smallest details. And that brings us to another thing I think is super relevant today. It was their focus on processing, but with respect.
Right. The book talks about how using every part of the animal, it wasn't just practical, it was a spiritual thing.
It really was acknowledging the gift,
Yeah.
the gift of that animal's life,
Right.
minimizing waste. So the hide, that's clothing, shelter, bones become tools, sinew, you can make thread, even the hooves.
Yeah.
They could boil those down for glue.
Wow. It makes you think about how, I don't know, disconnected we are now from where our food comes from and just those traditions of respect and resourcefulness.
Right. It's easy to forget when you're just at the grocery store.
Exactly. But by understanding these traditions, it's like we can start to kind of, I don't know, rebuild that connection even now, even in our modern world.
100%. It's about recognizing that interconnectedness, that whole cycle of give and take that the Apache, they just understood it on such a deep level.
Right. And that actually brings up something really interesting. These ancient techniques, this mindset, they offer all these surprising lessons. Lessons that we can apply to, well, really anything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, beyond just, knowing how to track an animal through the forest.
Exactly. Take tracking. That ability to observe, the subtle signs that get left behind, to understand their movements, their motivations, that kind of awareness, it can be so valuable in so many contexts.
Okay, I gotta ask, give me an example. How could I use that in my day-to-day life?
Think about security personnel, right? They have to be constantly aware of their surroundings,
Mhm.
looking for anything off,
Mm.
just like an Apache hunter scanning for tracks.
Wow, okay.
Or a detective.
Mhm.
They're piecing together clues at a crime scene.
Yeah.
It's all about honing those observation skills, noticing those tiny details that most people, they'd miss.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. And what about that Apache adaptability, that ability to thrive in any environment? How does that translate to, today's world?
Well, we're living in a time of constant change.
Yeah.
Adaptability, it's not just an option anymore, it's essential for success.
Yeah.
Whether you're talking about, companies, they have to pivot to stay relevant.
Yeah.
Or just individuals, we've got to embrace this, lifelong learning to keep up with new tech, new ideas.
So it really is so much more than just knowing how to use a bow and arrow. It's about cultivating that Apache mindset, being observant, resourceful, and of course adaptable when faced with any challenge.
Yes. And honestly, I think one of the most important lessons is just the value of slowing down,
Oh, interesting.
being present in the moment. truly tuning in to the world around us.
It's almost like, we're just on autopilot all the time, and the Apache are forcing us to kind of hit that pause button.
Yeah. Think about how much they relied on their senses. I mean,
Mm.
sight, sound, smell, touch,
It was everything.
everything. They were just so tuned into,
Yeah.
like, those tiny little changes, those details. It's easy to miss all that in our busy, noisy, tech-filled lives. You know what I mean?
It makes you wonder, like, what are we missing, when we're just glued to our screens, totally oblivious to, like, the birds and the trees and...
Right. It's like that saying, what is it? We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing.
Oh, I like that.
The Apache, through hunting, they remind us to, like, never lose that sense of wonder,
Yeah.
that connection to the natural world. And it's something we can all tap into.
It's true. And you never know, when you actually start paying attention, who knows what you might find.
Exactly.
Maybe it's that, like, newfound appreciation for the simple things,
Mhm.
or maybe it's like this deeper understanding of, our place in all of this.
Totally. Or even, honestly, sometimes it's just like a moment of peace, like a little clarity.
Yeah.
When everything's so chaotic, right? But those little moments, just observing, connecting,
Mm-hmm.
they can bring you back.
Back to yourself.
Yes, to what matters.
This whole deep dive has been incredible. I mean, it really is a powerful reminder that, we have so much we could learn
Oh, yeah.
from the wisdom of, indigenous cultures like the Apache. And it's not just about hunting, right? It's bigger than that. It's about this whole different way of seeing, of being.
Absolutely. It's about respect, balance,
Yeah.
That adaptability we talked about, right?
Yeah.
And just that really deep down understanding that, we're all connected. We're all part of something much, much bigger than ourselves.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been awesome, really, diving deep into Hunting the Apache Way with you.
The pleasure was all mine. It really was.
And to everyone listening, we'll leave you with this. How can you bring even just a tiny bit of that Apache wisdom into your own life? Maybe it's taking a walk, leave your phone at home, really look around. Or maybe it's finally learning that skill you've been putting off, something that makes you slow down, focus, whatever it is, our advice. Embrace that curiosity, embrace that connection, because that's what Apache tradition at its heart is all about.